This is Rock's the Core Podcast, and I'm your host, Warita Winbush, and today's episode is Eric Adams attacks crime, ramps up policing, moves to repeal sanctuary city policies. Eric Adams getting tough on crime. Eric Adams has been a fixture of New York City law enforcement and politics for 40 years. He has championed justice and equality for all citizens, every citizen, including those suspected of crime, criminals, as well as felon law enforcement, by making it his mission to fight corruption within the legal system. And yet, during his term as mayor, New York City has seen a major spike in crime. This spike in crime has been occurring since the pandemic. Two major factors that have contributed to this massive spike in crime, this major spike in crime, are the defunding of the police and the declaration of New York City as a sanctuary city. And this is because the system for vetting illegal immigrants who are seeking asylum poorly vets them. They are poorly vetted. And so through our southern border, not just those seeking asylum for a better life or entering into the country, those who are seeking to continue and to commit and to continue committing crimes, a life of criminal activity, are also entering into the country through our southern border. Yes, crime rates in New York have skyrocketed from 2020 to 2023. Yet the light at the end of the tunnel is that by the end of 2023, crime rates have been dropping. Now, let's talk about the defunding of the police. Due to the civil unrest caused by highly publicized racially motivated cases of crimes or alleged racially motivated cases of crimes against marginalized people, such as Black people, Hispanics, Asians, women, and LGBTQIA. And as you see, with the inclusion of women and LGBTQIA, not all are racially motivated. Excuse me, hair sticking me in the eye. So sorry. Not all are racially motivated, but are impacted by gender and sexual orientation and gender identity. And so, particularly those crimes that were committed by law enforcement, heralded a call for police reform, for which the defunding of the police and reduction of police presence was chosen to resolve issues such as racial profiling, police brutality, poor de-escalation training, and sexual abuse. The New York City Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice states from 2019 to 2020, the murder rate per 100,000 people in New York City rose by 1.7% from 2018 to 2020. There were 1,531 shooting incidents in 2020, up 97% from 2019. Spectrum News 1 said, New York City saw a 22% jump in crime between 2021 and 2022, but its overall crime index declined for the second straight month in December 2022. Indeed, police logged 126,537 crimes last year, a 22.4% increase from 2021, when the five boroughs recorded 103,388 crimes, the New York Police Department stated. December, like November, did see a decrease in overall crime compared to the same month in 2021, with 11.6% fewer crimes reported, according to police data. The city saw an 11% drop in crime and homicides year over year, with 433 murders reported in 2022 compared to 488 in 2021. Shooting incidents, meanwhile, declined year over year for all of 2022. Emma Carlton of Fox News said from 2020 to 2023, New York City has so far seen the largest increase in violent crimes out of the cities reviewed by Fox News, with a 40.6% increase compared to 2021. The city recorded 43,244 violent crime incidents since May 2015, compared to 2021's 30,754 recorded during the same time frame. Now, she's talking about the time frame between 2021 and, 2021 and 2022 there. So she's referring to May 15, 2022. And she goes on to say, though violent crime is up in the city, data shows murders and shooting incidents have ticked down compared to 2021. And there have been 150 murders. Well, there were 150 murders in the city as of May 15th, 2022, compared to the previous year of 2021, in which there were, 170. Shooting incidents decreased by 7.6% in that city in 2022 at 447 compared to 484 that time the previous year. For 2023, New York City Police Department states arrests for major index crimes citywide increased 9.5%, which is 4,162 versus 3,802 in December compared to the same month a year prior, and rose by 11.8%. For all of 2023, arrests across all crime categories increased by 15.5% in December and rose by 19.5% for all of 2023. Now, that is what the New York Police Department said for 2023. In a summary of the crime statistics, Vital City said, massive spike in serious violent crime in 2020, driven up by upticks in homicide and shootings of nearly 50% and 100%, respectively. Homicides and shootings increased again in 2021, and 2022 saw a major crime spike a major crime spike of 22% in New York, while homicides fell 11%. Thank God. The preliminary 2023, data show another nearly 12% decline in homicides, but an overall major crime figure that essentially held down 0.3% for the year. Now, the Declaration of New York City as a sanctuary city exacerbated the crime in New York City. Indeed, declaring New York City to be a sanctuary city for illegal immigrants exacerbated the city's crime. Many of the illegal immigrants that have been allowed to enter into the country have not been properly vetted, as stated earlier. They have not been properly vetted. And it has been found that crime has had a major spike in New York City since then. Now, according to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is ICE, individuals arrested in New York were citizens and nationals from the following countries: China, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Grenada, Guyana, Honduras, Ireland, Jamaica, Mexico, Moldova, Mozambique, Pakistan, Panama, Peru, and St. Lucia. The New York arrests included charges filed for assault, sexual assault against a child, lewd and lascivious acts upon a child, rape, and criminal possession of a loaded firearm. Other charges include criminal possession of stolen property, driving while intoxicated, robbery, and grand larceny. And Thomas R. Decker, ICE ERO, New York Field Officer Director, stated that let us not gloss over the fact that the vast majority of the individuals arrested during this operation have criminal histories. It's frightening that New York City politicians created laws that enforce local law enforcement agencies to release dangerous criminals back into the community despite the seriousness of their crimes. Of the more than 50 individuals, ERO officers arrested, more than 30 were released from local law enforcement custody with active ICE detainers. 8 had outstanding removal orders. 8 were previously removed or deported. 5 were criminally prosecuted. 2 were active gang members, and 1 was a foreign fugitive. All but 2 of the individuals arrested had criminal histories in the United States. All individuals arrested during the ICE enforcement activity will remain in ICE custody pending the outcome of their removal proceedings before an immigration judge. Sanctuary city policies. Let's talk about those from the perspective of those leaders in law enforcement who are in the know of the effectiveness of the current sanctuary city policies. Mayor Eric Adams said in a press conference, when questioned, 2 questions, sort of, building on your question about the migrant crisis, the numbers going down. Yes, some hotels have been migrant shelters for 2 years. New contracts for migrant shelter services are still being signed. So when does it start to get scaled back? When do those hotels turn back into hotels? And then the second question is and this is hard to discuss, y'all, so excuse me. It's regarding the knife point rape in Coney Island. And this hits home close for me because I am a rape survivor, as I've discussed in a video, Rape, Don't Be Ashamed, on my Stage Left Planet channel, which you can access as well on YouTube. One of the men, David Bonilla, had an ICE detainer out on him after he was arrested for a separate rape case in April 2023. He took a plea deal, was released from Rikers less than 2 months before this latest attack. Why was he allowed to roam our sanctuary's policies? failing New Yorkers. Mayor Adams responded, Camille, that's the reporter's name, Camille can talk about the hotels. A really despicable act that happened in Coney Island that was, well, as you know, laws do not allow us to coordinate with ICE. That's the law, and I'm not happy about that. And I think he's the poster child of what's wrong with not doing that coordination. It's clear that he does not deserve to be in our city. That's a traumatized family, and they were traumatized over that event. And my heart goes out to them. He's referring to the family of the victims. And my heart goes out to them as well. And sorry for stumbling. Sometimes when you're reading press conference quotes, like direct quotes, direct transcripts from press conferences, it is recorded exactly as the persons have said it, in their natural flow of language. But New York Police Department Chief of Patrol John Shell wants New York to change its sanctuary city laws because they are basically protected criminals with extensive records in addition to, and see, he's doubling down on that which Mayor Eric Adams is stating, as well as what I've observed as well when following the instances of crimes and the crime rates of New York City. He says, that those sanctuary city laws are protecting the criminals. And really the criminals more so than those who are actually seeking asylum, because those who are actually seeking asylum are being victimized by the criminals first and foremost, in addition to American citizens. So when does it end? Mayor Eric Adams has put his foot down to bring an end to it. But before we get into his actions that he's taking, let's continue on with John Shell's perspective on the situation. Shell, according to CBS News' Ali Barman, Shell says New York City's sanctuary laws should be amended to allow the New York Police Department to collaborate with ICE when a migrant is convicted of a violent crime. And ICE Field Office Director Kenneth Gennaro stated, if we are not cooperating and the sanctuary policies do not allow New York Police Department to cooperate with my staff, so then how are we able to keep the community safe? And ICE states that it lodges detainers on individuals who have been arrested on criminal charges and who ICE has probable cause to believe are removable aliens. The detainer asks the other law enforcement agency to notify ICE in advance of release and to maintain custody of the alien for a brief period of time so that ICE can take custody of their person in a safe and secure setting upon release from their agency's custody. When law enforcement agencies fail to honor immigration detainers and release serious criminal offenders onto the streets, it undermines ICE's ability to protect public safety and carry out its mission. Congress has established no process requirement or expectation directing ICE to seek a judicial warrant from already overburdened federal courts before taking custody of an alien on civil immigration violations. This idea is simply a figment created by those who wish to undermine immigration enforcement and excuse illegal conceived practices of sanctuary jurisdictions that put politics before public safety. And Thomas R. Decker states, and he's the field office director for ERO New York. I don't know what it will take for representatives of New York City to see that keeping their sanctuary city policies are dangerous to the citizens of this great city and in some cases deadly. Now, Adams takes action. Rather than letting New York implode on itself with the destructive policies of defunding the police and sanctuary city policies, which really work in tandem with one another, the Adams administration has increased policing. In 2003, they increased policing, and Mayor Adams is working towards removing sanctuary laws or at least amending them, and especially working with the Trump administration to do so. Since policing has increased, New York City murder numbers dropped 12% in 2023 compared to the previous year, while shootings fell 25%, according to the numbers released by the New York City Police Department, with all 5 boroughs experiencing a decline in shootings. Eric Adams met with President Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, about addressing the issue, after which he gave a press conference in which he stated about one particular aspect that shows that all that citizens of New York and those illegal immigrants seeking asylum are in danger, because the situation has become out of control to the point that Eric Adams stated we have 500,000 children who had sponsors in this country that we can't find. We can't find them. We don't know if they're doing child labor. We don't know if they're doing sex crimes. We don't know if they're being exploited. 500,000 children, we don't know where they are right now in this country. That is a horrible thing, and it must be rectified. And Mayor Eric Adams is working toward doing so, and is more than willing to work with the Trump administration, and particularly Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, to do so, and he says that he doesn't care. Cancel him if necessary. This is the Rocks the Core podcast, and I'm your host, Warita Wimbush. And as I say on my Stage Left Planet podcast, focus on God.